What's up? I'm the Kalkar 131, and this is why the AR-15 is my home defense weapon. So this video was largely inspired by a video that Mr. Guns and Gear did a couple months ago, and he did it. I'm doing it pretty much the same way he did. I made a sort of a chart on some of the most important features that most people look for in a home defense firearm of some sort, and I gave the three most common choices: rifle, pistol, and shotgun, and I kind of rated them. This is all my opinion and just what I know. Some of these might be a little different for each of you, but I'll get into that a little bit more later. So, why am I making this video? Well, I've had a couple people ask me, a couple of just friends and family, ask why I choose an AR-15 for home defense when most of them don't know a whole lot about guns. And one of the first feature that I put on here, they are worried about picking an AR-15 for home defense because they think that it'll over-penetrate way too far. Well, as you can see, as I said, the very first section that I put on here is penetration, or in this case, over-penetration. Forgive my terrible handwriting, just bear with me. Over-penetration. So, it is one of the biggest and most annoying misconceptions about AR-15s is that an AR-15 is a high-powered military-grade assault rifle that'll blow through, someone breaks into your house, you shoot them with an AR-15, it'll go straight through them and it'll go through a couple other walls after that, you know? People are worried that an AR-15 will over-penetrate just insanely, and it will go through their entire house and hit the person in the house across the street. Well, I'm here to tell you it's not true. I will link in the description a couple articles and a couple videos that go over this and give evidence of actually why the AR-15 does not over-penetrate when it comes to ballistics or shooting a human being that broke into your house or whatever. So the biggest reason people think the AR-15 does over-penetrate, in my opinion, is because an AR-15 is really good at penetrating steel targets, steel armor, whatever. An AR-15 is great at doing that because it just takes a certain amount of foot-pounds of energy or feet per second to go through a steel plate. There's just a certain threshold that the bullet has to hit. When it goes past it, it'll go through the steel. Well, that's very different than over-penetrating in terms of a home defense situation, because both the rifle, which is AR-15, pistol, and shotgun, which again I'm saying is about a 12 gauge, it's probably the most common shotgun that I would see used for home defense. All these firearms, all three of them, if you just shoot them at drywall or just straight walls in a house, they're all going to go straight through. They're all going to go through multiple walls and all that. What matters is how well they do after they go through a target, after they go through a human being, ballistics gel, whatever. What do they do after that? Well, I gave 3 points, the most points for being the best option when it comes to over-penetration, to the rifle, the AR-15. Because contrary to what a lot of people think, the AR-15 does not over-penetrate. It's just, think about it logically. It's basic physics. It's a really small bullet going really fast. It doesn't have the mass to retain the energy and the velocity that it has after it goes through a target. You can see this again, I'll link some videos in the description. Some people have done testing on this where they'll shoot in a standard .223 through some ballistics gel, and after that, it loses so much of its energy. It sheds all of its velocity and all the energy really quickly, as opposed to the number 2 choice, shotgun, and then number 1, pistol, 1 being the least points because it's the least favorable. They're smaller and they're going slower. Smaller, slower, they just keep on going through a lot more material. So, and the shotgun, number 2, it depends on what kind of ammo you use, obviously. If you use a birdshot, terrible choice for home defense. But if you use birdshot, you don't have to worry about over-penetration, because you're hardly going to penetrate anything. Buckshot or slug, on the other hand, is gonna blow straight through a human or ballistics gel or whatever you're using. Pistol, sort of the same thing. Slower, solid bullet, it's gonna go straight through. Now, over-penetration is not something that most people should worry about, but it's something a lot of people do. And the entire basis of the argument makes no sense at all. You're wanting a bullet to penetrate, but not penetrate. That's what a bullet does, it penetrates things. And by saying you don't want something that over-penetrates, you can't have both. You want something that's powerful enough and has enough penetration to the standard I use. The FBI's standard of 12 to 18 inches in ballistics gel, 12 to 16, I think. And then you want it to do that, but not penetrate too far. You want it to penetrate, but not penetrate. It's a double standard. You can't have both. What you can do is try to minimize the over penetration. I do air quotes if I could, but I'm holding this up. You want to try to minimize the over penetration, and when it comes to that, the AR-15 is the best. It's going to shed all of its energy really quickly, and it's not going to keep going, as opposed to shotgun, which is the second option, again, depending on the ammo choice, and the pistol. Next category, stop and power, also known as lethality. The one that wins this one just hands down is shotgun. There is no debating that the shotgun, again, depending on the ammo, undoubtedly has more power than any of the other ones. Your average double-aught buckshot from a shotgun 12 gauge is going to have around 1,500 or 1,600 foot-pounds of energy. That's versus your rifle, which again got number 2, and that has 12 or 1,300 foot-pounds, depending on barrel length and weight of the bullet. And then pistols are incredibly not lethal. Contrary to what movies and TV shows would have you believe, they only have average 9mm has between 300 and 400 foot-pounds of energy. They're not as lethal as is commonly believed. So again, shotgun absolutely takes the cake when it comes to lethality and stopping power. The rifle not too far behind. Next section up is ease of hits. How easy is it to get hits on target? Your average home defense encounter, probably going to be 10 yards or less. 10 yards is a pretty long hallway for most people, so probably like 7 yards or less. So your first shot probably isn't going to be too hard to get on target. Follow-up shots are where things might become a bit more difficult. Ease of hits, I gave the AR-15 the 3 points for being the best. It has very little recoil. It's a long gun, so you have the 4 points of contact. It's accepted fact in the gun world and the shooting world that long guns are just easier to shoot than handguns, which is why shotgun took number 2. It's still a long gun. You still have 4 points of contact with the firearm, but it differs from the rifle in that there is a whole lot more recoil. Take an AR-15 and shoot it, and then compare it to a 12 gauge with standard sort of home defense ammo. So say I use Spear Gold Dot 75 grain, I believe it is, in my AR versus double-aught buck in a shotgun. Do them side by side and see which one kicks harder. Spoiler alert, it's a shotgun. It's going to be a lot harder to get follow-up shots on target with a 12 gauge shotgun than it is with a AR-15. Now that could be mitigated a bit if you want to go down in gauge and go to a 20 gauge or something like that, but then you're also giving up some of that lethality, which is one of the biggest reasons people go with shotgun in the first place. And last is pistol. Again, it is incredibly difficult to be a good shooter with a pistol. How long did it take you to be proficient with the pistol versus how long it took you to get proficient with an AR-15? Give me 10 minutes and I can get someone halfway passably decent with an AR-15 because they're just such easy guns to shoot. A pistol, on the other hand, you only have 2 points of contact, shorter sight radius. It's just, in general, a harder platform to be good with, which is why the pistol came in last on that one as well. Next feature up is capacity. This is, again, where the AR-15 sort of makes up for earlier where it lost out in lethality. It makes up for it because the average AR-15 holds 30 rounds. That's a whole lot of bullets for a self-defense encounter, home invasion sort of scenario. Your average self-defense encounter, statistically, is about 3 rounds. That's all it takes. However, I prefer to live by the philosophy of hope for the best and plan for the worst, which is why I don't like to say, oh, it'll probably only be 3, 4, maybe 5 rounds. For the same reason that, do you want to conceal carry every day a 3-shot handgun? Well, it'll probably only take 3 rounds. That should be enough, right? No. No, you don't want to have just the bare minimum. If someone breaks into my house and I'm fighting for my life, I want to have every advantage I can. I don't want it to be a fair fight. So that's why the AR-15 takes the cake in that one with an average of about 30 rounds, which with capabilities of going higher, you know, aftermarket base plates, or you can just go straight to 50-round drums, 60-round magazines, stuff like that. The AR-15, not even a doubt, takes it in terms of capacity. Number 2 is the pistol, average 17 or 18 for a full-size handgun. Extendos, you can get 33 rounds in a Glock, so that takes a second one. Shotgun comes in last. Your average home defense-esque shotgun, 18.5, 20-inch barrel, probably going to hold 7, 8, maybe 10. You could get magazine-fed shotguns, sure, which can have, again, 10-round magazines, maybe more, but then you have to deal with a really long, obnoxious, unwieldy magazine sticking out of the bottom of it. And then that still doesn't get over the harsh recoil of it. So AR-15 undoubtedly takes the cake when it comes to capacity. Aftermarket support. What I mean by that is, how easy is it to attach the accessories that I think any self-defense gun should have, which is a light, and if you can, an optic. If it's a long gun, it should have a sling on it as well. How easy is it to attach that to each of these platforms? Aftermarket support for the AR-15 is there. The market has pretty much standardized on Picatinny or M-LOK. Key mods there, it's starting to go the way of the dodo and starting to die out. But Picatinny and M-LOK, you're going to be hard-pressed to find an AR-15 that does not have Picatinny and M-LOKs or M-LOK slots on it somewhere. And it's incredibly easy to get a light on an AR-15 nowadays. It's easy to put a optic on it to make shooting easier. Slings, same thing. It's easy to put a sling on it. I gave number 2 to the pistol because, again, it is very easy to put a optic on it. Most of them are going to have either a Picatinny rail, or if you're Glocking, you have to be annoying, a Glock rail. But pretty much every serious weapon light out there is going to have choices for handguns. And last place I gave to shotgun, because this is another point Mr. Guns and Gear made in his video, which again I highly recommend you go watch. The majority of aftermarket support for shotguns, despite how many models are out there, the majority of it is only for a couple different prolific models, you know. Mossberg 500, 590, Remington 870, some of the Benellis, and those are really the big ones with the vast majority of aftermarket support. And even considering that, even disregarding that, it's not super easy to get a weapon light on a shotgun. You have to get a whole separate fore-end generally, and then you might have some M-LOK slots on it. So I gave shotgun last in that category. Next up is recoil. This is another one that's really easy to go through. Number 1 that got 3 points for being the most favorable, AR-15. There's hardly any recoil with the 223 AR-15. I know you've probably seen some of the news videos of liberal journalists and shit going to gun ranges and shooting AR-15s, and oh, they're flinching and it's kicking them back every time. For one, they're pussies and they don't know how to shoot right, and 2, they want it to look scarier to scare you all into giving them up. The AR-15 hardly has any recoil at all. Number 2 is a handgun. It's a 9mm handgun, doesn't have hardly any recoil either. However, there's a bit more than an average AR-15. Last case is shotgun. Shotgun gets destroyed in this. There is a lot of power in a shotgun, but that also translates into a lot of recoil. So shotgun comes in dead last when it comes to recoil. I hope you can see that last section there, movement. Movement is the last section I kind of threw in last minute after thinking about it. How easy is it to move through your house, your apartment, whatever? How easy is it to move through your house with each of these weapon choices? Well, obviously the number one is pistol. Pistols are incredibly easy to move around with. They're small, they're handy, you can hold it in one hand, so not even a comparison. The pistol takes the number one place with 3 points when it comes to movement. Number two is going to be an AR-15 because while they are long guns, just like shotguns, which makes them easier to shoot, but the last couple years there's been a whole lot more support for AR pistols. You can get an AR-15 with a 10, 11-inch barrel versus a 16-inch, which is the legal length, legal minimum length barrel. So you can get relatively small AR-15s too, which are again going to be easy to move around the house with, easy to maneuver around corners, do all that sort of stuff. The last choice is shotguns because while technically you can do the same thing with an AR pistol, you can do the same thing with a shotgun, get a shorter than legal length barrel because it's considered a pistol at that point, and then put a pistol brace on it. You can, but it's very uncommon. I have almost seen no one doing it. So you can, yes, but it's not common at all. So coming up in last as far as movement goes is the shotgun. Now, totals down here, as you can probably tell from the title of the video, the AR-15 won out with 19 points total. It's the best home defense firearm in my opinion. If you disagree, if you disagree with any of the points I made, or if you just have other reasons why you chose something else, absolutely go ahead and tell me in the comments, and I'd love to debate it with you. But the AR-15 is my personal home defense choice, home defense weapon choice. The number two, well, technically number two is pistol, number three is shotgun. However, you can see 11 and 12. Some of these points and these features that I listed could very easily be swapped around. For instance, ease of hits. Yes, technically a shotgun is easier. Yeah, technically a shotgun is easier to get hits on target with, but that might be inconsequential to you if you've practiced a lot with a handgun. If you've put a lot of time in with a handgun and you're very proficient with it, then ease of hits almost doesn't matter at all to you. Or recoil. If you're a bigger, stout guy, muscular, stocky, whatever, recoil is going to be probably not a very big deal for you. As opposed to if you're a smaller, shorter guy, or you're a petite, shorter woman, recoil is going to be a bigger deal for you. So the last two kind of flip-flop around a little bit depending on what you choose. However, the AR-15 is my personal choice. It has, let me get rid of that for now. The AR-15 is my personal choice. Pretty decent energy, foot-pounds, lethality. It's almost as powerful as a shotgun as far as the foot-pounds go. Insanely greater capacity. Very easy to shoot, almost no recoil. It's easy to get accessories for it. As long as you train around it and you get the right sort of rifle, AR-15, it's not too hard to move around a house with it either. It's my personal choice for all of those reasons, largely. Now, some other notes that you might want to consider. If you have a family, maybe you're a dad or a mother, or even if you're like a teenage son or whatever, and maybe you're the one in your family that's into guns and into self-defense and protection and all that sort of stuff, something else to consider is if you do want to go with a shotgun or a handgun, something to consider is the harsh reality or the fact that you might not be the one using it. What happens if, God forbid, someone breaks into your house and they shoot you before you can get a shot off and you go down, and it comes down to your wife or your child, like a 14-year-old kid who hopefully you were responsible and taught how to use a firearm. But what happens if it comes down to them? You know, I wouldn't want a young kid or a wife trying to defend her home with a 12 gauge shotgun with double-aught buckshot in it. It's going to be incredibly hard for her to use that weapon effectively versus an AR-15. So, undoubtedly, the AR-15 is my personal choice. This is my personal rifle that I keep for home defense. Everything on it is made exactly how I like it. I built it. So this is what I personally keep at my bedside every day whenever I'm home. When I'm not, lock it up in the safe. But anytime I'm home, it is out and ready to go. So that is why I choose the AR-15 as my home defense weapon. Do you guys agree? What do you think? What do you guys use? Do you completely disagree with what I said? Do you think this is totally bogus and you think the AR-15 is a terrible choice for home defense? Go ahead and tell me in the comments. What do you guys use? Notes, I almost forgot. Notes and size. If one thing I've seen some people do, if you do choose to use a pistol for home defense, don't be lulled into the idea that a home defense pistol should have the same size constraints as a concealed carry pistol. I've seen some people do that, where they'll say their home defense gun is like a Smith & Wesson Shield or whatever, some other small subcompact-y gun, and sorry, neighbors just got home. Do not fall into that false belief, because the reason concealed carry pistols are so small is because you're out in public and you're trying to conceal them on your person. A home defense gun, it's not a problem. You don't have to worry about that when you're just throwing the entire thing in a drawer or in a cabinet in a lockbox somewhere, whatever. Get the largest handgun that you can possibly get with the most amount of rounds. I don't mean largest in terms of caliber, I'd stick to 9mm, but you want to get at least a full-size handgun, as many rounds as possible. Larger guns are heavier and they soak up recoil better. So get a large frame handgun. Don't get a smaller subcompact gun for your home defense pistol. So like I said, do you guys agree? Do you think the points I made are valid? Do you have other points to add? Reasons why you personally choose the AR-15 shotgun or pistol for home defense? Go ahead and tell me in the comments. If you liked the video, found it informative, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe for some of the future videos I have coming out. This is the Car 131 signing off.